My background, I run IT department for a multinational corporation. We have operations in Europe, Canada, and the U.S., a little bit sprinkling south. One of the biggest problems in my company that I determined well before I even started at Pepperdine with Molt was that, like many others, our company is a conglomeration of other companies that were acquired over the years. And so we have different processes, and everybody's an island unto themselves, and nobody knows what the other person is doing. I, as a researcher, when I put my researcher hat on, I had this problem identified. We've got this company, and it's got all these people that are working in different ways, and they're not working together, and how can I make them put their toys together nicely at the end of the day? Honest. I've never heard the terminology action research. The minute we stepped foot in Malibu, I kept thinking that, we're going to take classes and learn about how people learn. That was what I thought. And then all of a sudden Margaret sprung action research on us. And, my imagination ran wild with, we're going to wear superhero capes and go to the library. That's really what I thought. The determinant for me is once I started learning what action research was. And my thought behind it still is, I'm researching outside of a book, and I'm participating in that research. That was the two things for me. I mean, there's a whole plethora of what that means behind the scenes. But for me, when I described it to my boss, the CEO, I said, I'm actually researching. I'm doing more than just kind of observing somebody, but I'm a participant in that as well. Same as you, and same as you as me.
Well, and at least in my experience, the notion that you're trying to do something with real intent and purpose behind it is part of what makes it powerful. Sure. I'm not just doing what you tell me to do, I'm trying to do something that does it very effectively.
Right. And the other thing too is I had to be open to whatever direction it went. I'm involved in it. I'm not just sitting here as a newspaper man, reporting the news of what I'm finding. I'm actually making decisions and helping change that. So what I thought was my preconceived notion of, here's what I'm going to find and here's how it's going to end, I had to be open to finding that it actually went that direction rather than what I thought it was going to be. And that was the key difference in action research for me. Just because it's participatory, you still have this baggage, I guess, if you will, that says, I think it's going to go here. And then you need to be open to the fact that it may actually go right here, or it may not work at all. That was the hardest part. You want, as a student, to graduate, and you want to do good, and you want that A and the 4.0 and all of that. And throughout the whole time at Pepperdine, and not just myself, but my colleagues, cadre mates, kept thinking, I need to make sure I do well on the action research. I got to get that paper done. I got to the findings need to be good, and all that. And that's not the point. The point is, it may very well, go completely against what you thought was going to happen. You have to be able to objectively, as best you can, look inside. Most people think that action research is I'm just observing everyone outside, but I'm a participant the same, and so I have to kind of look inside to see what my baseline is, if you will, so that I'm not skewing the results more than I normally would. I mean, there's not a completely objective person, but I'm looking outside at everybody, including myself, and I need to know what's going on inside so that I'm not trying to favor one path or the other.
It's really helpful to hear about the details of your focus and your work, especially in the context of your workplace. I'm really interested, almost, after you've been at this for a little over a year, if you were to go all the way back to the beginning, when you were just starting to think about action research, when you just heard about it, beyond the first Google search of what is action research, what do you think you would like to have known then that you know now?
It's very tempting to think of it as just another theory, another process, another something that we had to learn, and we're going to do some exercise, and then we're going to close the book on that one and move to the next chapter of something else. And you're presented with so many different people and thought processes and ideas, and they're all relevant, they're all good, but it's easy to take something that you've learned or been presented. You may not have even learned it, you may have just been presented it, and do whatever it is that is required to fulfill the assignment, and then tuck it in your brain somewhere and then move on. If you really think about it, we're all doing it already all the time. Mm-hmm. But this is just trying to kind of quantify it, narrow it down, and you know, to use one of my PM, you know, milestone it in a way. And so that's why I say, you know, my project that I used for the mold program, I was already in essence doing beforehand. I'm still doing it now, but I'm able to start using some of the tools, some of the language, the terminology, and some of the theory to articulate better and to understand better what it is I'm doing. You know, I mentioned earlier, and this is a big impact for me, that keyword called reflection, and that's kind of difficult for some people. It's hard to look in the mirror and reflect upon what it is, and truly reflect upon what it is, not only who you are and you know, but what you've done and how you can do it better, or applaud yourself sometimes, which you need to do, or correct yourself, or those sorts of things. I literally said at a meeting last week, and again, I've been out of the Pepperdine program for a while, but I said in a meeting last week with a studio exec, and we talked about my action research. No joke. No joke. And because he was interested in trying to put together, you know, different departments that they're trying to come together with. And we had discussed some of the ideas that I had found and the things that I did, and that he thought it might be a good role for me to try to consult and help them with.
If you were going to start out on this again, or maybe send somebody out to do this, and you wanted to really take a close look at the resources that are most helpful to somebody who's just embarking on this,
Sure.
maybe learning about it for the first time, what would you want in your toolkit? Were there any specific things that
People.
kind of
People.
helped you, you know, move more quickly through the learning process?
Well, I think that really depends on your learning style. I tend to value my interaction with people and my identity in that role a lot more. It doesn't mean it's better, but I value that more than I would sitting in a library looking through a book. There's times to do that, but to have that engagement with another person or other group of people, and to realize that I'm not just the island unto myself. When I'm in action research, I'm part of a larger, in essence, global group, and there are other people out there that are interested or maybe doing similar work. And I'm not an academic in the sense that I'm not sitting at a research university, you know, and coming together with my colleagues in Zurich to go over what it is that we have both found. But I am part of that larger community that is interested in that. I never expected this time last year that somebody here would be asking me these questions. And who knows, maybe next year somebody will be asking you those same questions.